Welcome to a presentation tutorial for National Geographic Reach. The purpose for this tutorial is to help you understand and be able to demonstrate the use of eAssessments as it relates to Reach on myngconnect.com. Just as a review, before moving into eAssessments, let's go over the resources available very quickly on myngconnect.com. Once you log into your account, I want to remind you that this help section here will provide for you resources to give you additional information about MyNG Connect. As you look at the home page and the three distinct columns that are here, in the first column is where you will access your teacher and student editions. For this demonstration, we will be using Reach Level C. If you have more than one level of Reach in your account, you would be able to access those additional levels by using the arrows to the left or right. In the center column is where, as teachers, you probably will spend quite a bit of time. Your lesson planner, the presentation tool, the digital library. And I want to take your eyes to this bottom section called Reach into Teaching. If you have not yet spent much time on MyNG Connect, know that within the Professional Development section of your home page, there are additional tutorials that will get you started, not only with the program in print, but also the program through this digital path. In this very last column, you'll find resources for National Geographic Kids as well as National Geographic Explorer. Please know that these two links will take your students outside of MyNG Connect, but they are both very safe sites for your students. Again, our focus today within this tutorial is going to be specifically on eAssessments. So let's begin by clicking that link. When clicking the link for eAssessments, you land on the User Management Console. So let's talk just a moment about what the User Management Console is. Once you leave the homepage of myngconnect.com, after clicking eAssessments, you are brought to the User Management Console. And we'll talk about some of these additional pieces of the User Management Console in just a moment. I want to begin, though, by helping you help your students be successful. One of the first things I'd like for you to do is to find your Reach class that you are working with. And I happen to have several classes here, so let me find my Reach class and we'll move forward from there. As I view the class and click on my students, I will see the entire list of students for my Reach class. And my Reach students all are the majority of them, I should say, are at a beginning language proficiency level. But I have given them the pre-test, and I want to make a couple of changes. One of my students, Ricky Hernandez, is no longer a beginning level proficiency student. And so I just want to change that language proficiency level to intermediate, so that in the future, when I make assignments on tests, his test will reflect that intermediate language proficiency as opposed to that beginning language proficiency. So I will save this, and once I save this, I'm done with it. I'll go back to my home page, and now we will enter so that we can take a look at how we assign those assessments and what happens after we assign those assessments. Now that we are in the User Management Console, let's talk briefly about the purpose for going here. The User Management Console actually houses all of your information for your classes, your students, and your opportunities for assessment. In order to view manuals to support eAssessments, you could use the Help button here on the far right side of your User Management Console. We'll start by taking a look at the Manage section of the User Management Console. When I click Manage and find my class that I need to make assessments assigned, I will go through and find my list of classes, and I know that for this purpose we're going to use the Reach Demo class that has students in it. When I click on the green view for that particular class, I will see my class information. When I click on my students, I'll see the entire list of students for that particular class, and I also will find the assessments that are appropriate for that particular class. One of the nice things with eAssessment is that every assessment is already a part of eAssessments. You, the teacher, don't have to upload that information or add that information. It's already here. Let's take a look. You'll find your end of level test, your post-test, your pre-test, and then all of your unit specific assessments. For our demo purposes, we are going to assign a test that isn't already assigned so that you can see it. Let's choose Unit 5 of Level C, the reading test. You can, by clicking on the magnifying glass, actually preview that assessment so that you, the teacher, know what it looks like. You see the answers are indicated here. No matter which item I click on, that answer is provided because as the teacher, I can see what my students will see. And I'm just clicking on several of them so that you can see the variances of those assessments for Unit 5 reading. Now I'm going to go back to my demo class information and actually activate that particular test. In order to activate that test, I actually will click the green word Go. When I click Go, I'll see all of my students and I see that this item has not yet been assigned, but I want to assign this particular test to the entire class. The easiest way to do that is select all, and you'll notice now all of my students have a check mark in front of their name. Now I want to activate or assign this particular test. So I want to assign it to multiple students. Using this green button to the right of your screen, I can assign this test, and we will assign this test to begin March 26th. And I'm not going to enforce a due date. I could enforce a due date saying it's due on March 26th as well. I could even provide optional information by selecting a particular time I want students to be able to access this test. I would only do this for those students who I know might be absent, so that if that student isn't there, I can say that this student should not have access during this time. But for our purposes, I will leave it as is, with everyone having access for this particular test on March 26th. And yes, I want to proceed with that. Now this test has been activated successfully, and you see that every student in my class has been assigned this test. What I am going to do for you for just a moment is log in as the student so that you can see what it looks like once the student assessment has been assigned. For the moment, we have logged out of the site as a teacher because I want you to see the experience for the student once the test has been activated. So I have logged in as one of my students, Kayla, and from Kayla's home page, I can click where it says My Tests, and I will be able to see the test that we've just assigned a few moments ago. So I will click here for My Tests, and Kayla's assessments will appear. Kayla will be able to take a test, or if Kayla has already taken a test, she'll be able to review her tests. For a moment, we are going to take a test. The test that we activated, remember, was Level C, Unit 5 reading test. I will start with that particular assessment because that's the one we've just assigned. I will not take the entire test. I just want you to see it from the experience of the student. Read the question, choose the best answer. What is an antonym for tall? The basketball player is tall. Let's say short. Click on the next question. What is an antonym for hot? The sun is hot. Let's say cold. And I will do one more with this experience of the student. And you get the idea. This student will complete this test, and then when we go back into the login as the teacher into eAssessments, you will be able to see this data. Now that we know our student has completed the assessment, we can look at the scores that have been assigned to those particular assessments. Let's use the home menu bar again and click on Reports and Grading. With the reports and grading, again, start by selecting your class. And once you select the class, you will find 3 different types of reports. There is a unit test report, an English language proficiency report, and an end of a level report. Before we look at these reports, though, let's begin with the assignment take list. For the assessment that our student just took, there was nothing that required manually grading. But for some of your assessments, especially those writing assessments, the teacher will need to go in and manually score those writings. So when you click on the assignment take list, if there is one, as you see, all of these have been auto-graded. And as I continue scrolling down, I will come to a couple that have already been manually graded, meaning they did have some writing and the teacher did assign a manual score. And if there's one that needs it, it will say requires manual grading. Now, this is not a test that I have taken with the student, so I'm going to click that so that you know what it looks like. So this is the written portion of the test, and you see some of the items have already been auto-graded, but apparently within this assessment there is something that requires grading from the teacher. So I will scroll through until I find that item, and I can actually assign a rubric score. And I'll just do that very quickly here at this point, just to show you how your teachers would do it. And there would be a rubric that teachers could use. Then scroll all the way down to the bottom of this assessment and make sure we apply changes. Once those have been applied, we know that this assessment is now completely done for this student. And I can return to my classes. I'll just use my back arrow here. I can return to my classes, and if I scroll down to that particular test, I will see that it has now been manually graded. I think it was a Unit 6 test. I can see that it has been manually graded because that's what I just did. So I wanted you to see that prior to moving into the unit reports so that you would know that there are some assessments teachers will manually need to do in order for students to see their complete score. I will return to our Reach demo class data so that we can now take a look at these different reports. Now that we've had an opportunity in reports and grading to take a look at the assignment take list, let's now take a look at the different reports that are available for you. And I'll take each one of them individually. Let's begin with the unit test report. When I click on the unit test report, it shows me those that are available, and we'll begin by looking at this unit test summary by clicking the green button for Go. As I look at this page, beginning here at the top, I see my class report information. I see that I can print this information, and then this is my teacher information. As I continue scrolling, big picture, I see all of my class information for the unit test, all of my students, as well as information for the reading test, the grammar test, as well as the writing tests. And I can see their scores big picture. If you recall, I signed in as my student Kayla to take our assessment a little bit earlier on, but I see Kayla is a beginning level student. She scored 71%, 75% on the grammar, and apparently Kayla did not complete all of the writing portion of this assessment. So this gives me big picture the unit test summary. Let's go back again and take a look at one of the other assessments. Let's take a look at the English Language Proficiency Report. When I click here, I will be able to see not only the big picture for my class report, but I actually will be able to go in and look at the student data as well. I'm going to scroll down, and I'm going to use Kayla as my example. All of my students are here, but I'm going to use Kayla as that example. When I click on Kayla's name, I now see an individualized report for Kayla alone. I see where Kayla scored on comprehension, grammar, vocabulary, and the overall test. And as I scroll down, all of that information is provided for me. Kayla didn't score very well on comprehension, as it says here, 25%. So Kayla's information has been provided for me by area, and I can even view those descriptions for those proficiency levels. When I click here, those proficiency levels are provided for me for each grade level. For grade 1, academic language proficiency, and if I scroll down through this document, written proficiency, oral language proficiency, and then academic language proficiency for the remaining grades, 2 through 5. So it's going to repeat those for vocabulary, for academic language proficiency, written language proficiency, as well as oral language proficiency. So that indicator is provided for you by clicking on that link at the bottom of your page. Let's scroll back up to the top one more time, and we'll take a look at the data report for the end of level report. And again, I will use Kayla as my example for end of level assessment data. This time at the end of the year, you see that Kayla has improved. As I look at her scores, and I'm going to click on her name one more time, Kayla's comprehension has truly improved. Vocabulary has improved, and comprehension has also improved as we think about what we saw on the previous screen and Kayla's scores. I see that she's still having some difficulty with grammar, but I know that that's something that I can work on with Kayla myself within the classroom. So if I go back to my assessments one more time, and that demo class report, we have taken a look at the unit test, the English language proficiency report, as well as the end of level report for one of our students. We also had the opportunity to go in and do manual grading for a written piece that was required based on the assessments the student has taken. I'm going to return to the home page of the User Management Console to just quickly review where things are for you. When you are in your home page, if you want to activate a test, click on Manage Assessments. When you want to see scores for those assessments, you can click on Reports and Grading using this main menu across the top portion of your page. If I click back here on MyNG Connect, it takes me back to my home page, and I actually arrived there through this button indicating eAssessments. Before we leave the home page of the User Management Console, I just want to again remind you that all of your manuals for eAssessment can be found within this Help button. When you click this Help button, it actually will provide you access for the console and all of its documents that could be helpful, as well as those documents that might be helpful specifically for eAssessments. I've opened up the one for Reach eAssessment so that you can see it, and know that you can also print this out. It provides for you your eAssessment user guide, and as I scroll through it, I'm going to stop at the table of contents to show you an overview, how to activate and grade a test, all of your reports that are available. The assessments for students are actually taking a test are here as well. So I just wanted to remind you that that Help button is very useful and beneficial in helping you get started with National Geographic Reach eAssessments. I'm going to return now to our home page, which is where this all began, by clicking on eAssessments. And one more time, remind you that in your Professional Development tab of your home page, there are additional resources to help you be successful with National Geographic Reach. Thanks so much for your time and have a wonderful day.